No US delegation arrived in Islamabad, and Iran almost stayed 20 hours in Pakistan and they left. So the diplomacy shift from Islamabad to Oman and Moscow. So it is not exactly a failure of the peace talk, but it is a strategic shift in the game. So let's quickly break down what's happening what's happened in the last 24 hours. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi visited Islamabad. No direct US-Iran talks that took place. So the US delegation they just cancelled their visit, and Iran clearly stated that it will not negotiate under the pressure and the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz by the US. So after a Pakistan visit, Iran just moved to Oman, Muscat, and they have the plan to visit Russia. So finally, the conclusion of these quick reminders in the last 24 hours, that is, the Islamabad channel has just stalled. It's a pause, but it's not ended or it's not a failed one. So this is a multi-stage strategic game where there are two players. One is Iran, the second one is the USA, and the mediators. First, Pakistan was the only mediator, but it seems like now there are two more mediators that has been added by Iran. The one is the Oman, and the other one is the Russia. So both players have the two strategies. The first one is the cooperate. If they will cooperate, then they will negotiate and the ceasefire. They will go for the ceasefire compliance. But if they will opt for the defection, so the blockade continues and there will be the indirect escalation. So why Iran moved to Oman and Russia? Is it random or it's just a strategic move? Let me explain by the game theoretic mode. This is not random actually. If we look at historical perspective, looking at the Oman is historically the key mediator between the Iran and the US. And secondly, Oman, it allows the indirect negotiation. And thirdly, it is neutral, that the trusted communication channel between the US and the Iran. And Moscow is basically a strategic ally of Iran, and it has the potential of external guarantor of the peace agreement between the US and the Iran. So, and furthermore, it introduces a power balance into the game. So if you try to understand the game theoretical perspective, in game theoretical terms, the game has shifted from a direct bargaining to an indirect signaling and a collision game. At last, my prediction under the game theoretical explanation, there are three possibilities and there are three scenarios that can happen in future for Iran-US peace process. The first scenario, that is the indirect breakthrough, and in this situation, Oman, that has a very low probability of happening. But the scenario one, the first one, Oman successfully mediates, and then Russia guarantees the compliance, and the third one, the US pressure releases, and US just relaxes all the pressure and gives relief to Iran, and then further its outcome will be the negotiated a kind of a settlement. Then we coming towards this scenario two. In the scenario two, that is most probably that is the reality, and I believed in it. That is the frozen conflict, that no direct US-Iran talks that will happen. Back channel diplomacy, it will continue. The ceasefire holds partially, and the sea tension continues, and it will escalate. And the outcome of this scenario will be, there will be no war, there will be no peace. So it's a kind of a strategic pause. So the scenario three will be the most disastrous one. It has high risk. There will be, the first one is the continued maritime tension, then the breakdown of an indirect diplomacy, thirdly the ceasefire collapses. So ultimately it will return to a conflict again. So this is actually a repeated game with a signaling failure. So no trust exists, no credible commitments between the conflicting parties. There are multiple intermediators. So what it looks like, more like a diplomatic failure, but actually it is a strategic repositioning of both the countries. So actually it is not a diplomacy that is failing. This is actually a strategy that is evolving. So if you want real world conflicting issues, you want me to decode via game theoretical perspectives, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you.